Coming up on Free Range, Gail of Gaia has another chat with Drake Bailey about what is coming up in the near future in the United States. As always, the full video will be uploaded to Gail's website first at www.gailofgaia.com, before uploading it elsewhere. Here is a short clip.
I described something from the plan that some people believe in. Some people's pay grade don't go high enough and it can't get rid of the skinny on it. Okay, it doesn't matter. All of the, at the time that this is decided to happen, okay, there would be a steel or iron curtain dropped on the United States. Nothing in, nothing out. Bear that in mind. That means that all communications, specifically international, but to include you can get a crowd with the right kind of a tweet to the right people. Well, you can be able to do that with the thing turned off, and they want to make sure that the bad guys, bear that in mind, bad guys, not the good guys, the bad guys, don't have the capacity to hide their wealth by transferring it overseas. They don't have the capacity to exit the country by any means. If they try to drive, there will be gunships that will turn them around. That don't sound nice, but that's the way it is. Same way with all your private jets and whatnot. You try to leave and you will be force landed. Now, what that means very realistically is you have a plane here and you're down here. Okay, they will come down on top of you until you bring it back to Mother Earth. And as soon as you touch down and stop, everybody there, pilot, everybody gets arrested.
But you know what? This is all a good thing, because we want those bad guys to be accountable for the things that they've done and are doing. So
yeah, well, they're going to be held accountable suddenly. I talked about a certain portion of the plan that expresses mass arrests. Now, they had a constitutional issue came up, and they needed to have some people vote on it. Had to have at least 5 individuals. Altogether, there were 7. Now that includes both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. There were 7 people that were able to vote on that issue. 2 abstained, so you had 5. That's what it took. It was 100% accepted. So
why would 2 abstain? That makes me very suspicious.
Well, they weren't able to get there. They weren't able to participate. Okay.
Oh, okay.
There are some places yet on the our illustrious planet Earth that doesn't have satellites. Okay, they don't allow it, and it's government controlled. And it'd take an act of Congress, ruling by the Supreme Court, and an executive order to get you in there. If they tell you no, it's just that simple. Now, because this sounds severe and because it sounds like fear porn, there's a lot of people who object to it. Well, the situation is this: when it hits the fan, whatever it may be, and I'm talking about Greyhound bus size chunks. Okay, when it hits the fan, I hope you're ready. If you ain't got ready, you're going to find yourself. You'll always find yourself in trouble. Now, hopefully, now this is hearsay on my part. I want to make that perfectly clear. I have heard again that we, the people, will be given a few days' notice. Now, if that's the case, that means you want to, as soon as you get the notice, you jump in your friggin' car and you head to the grocery. Buy up everything that is non-perishable. That's dried stuff, whether it's rice, beans, noodles, what, doesn't matter. And then you turn right around and head for the canned meat aisle. And I'll tell you what, Spam and rice do go together fairly well, just like Budweiser on Cheerios.
Well, beans and rice make a complete protein as well, so that's good to know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's one part of it. Part two, and this is critical to anybody who wants to be a survivor, and that is that if you don't have a firearm, you're screwed. The reason I say that is that there are going to be a bunch of groups of the bad guys come out and attempt to take whatever you got. Just that simple, because they're on survival mode too. It will seem like a paramilitary type of operation. Well, if you're not ready, shame on you. And no, don't expect a bunch of people who are ready to come to your aid. That probably won't happen. They'll be too busy making sure that somebody don't get theirs. If you see what I'm saying.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, what was the vote total? The real vote total? About 55, 60 million to about 75 million in terms of Biden and Trump. Well, think about Antifa, BLM, and anybody else that's squirrely coming out of the woodwork and going after everybody.
Well, the shameful part about that is, thanks to the mass media, that many people don't know the true history and reputation and things that Biden has been involved in.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
And if they did, I don't think they would have voted for him.
Well, that's hindsight. That's always 2020. You can see things you couldn't see otherwise. Now, let me express this simply. You'll get about 2-3 days of warning. And head to the grocery. I'm telling you, fill the trunk and the back seat. Have the kids hold something on their lap or whatever. You're going to need everything you can get.
Well, how long do you think this is supposed to last, that we would, what kind of store? Because I've been doing this for a long
3 days.
time. I always buy a little
You
bit
got a
less.
gun?
Pardon?
You got a gun?
I prefer not to say.
Okay, well, don't. That's no problem. You can talk to me.
I'll discuss that when we're through.
Okay, I got several, and I actually sleep with one, and believe me, that makes the bed lumpy as all get out when you got to sleep. Anyway, here's the issue: survival, and survival is simple: food and water. Okay, you can fill a bathtub and keep water in that thing for a long time. It won't go bad. All right. You can bottle water, or buy bottled water. Number 3, protecting what you got. That's your food and your water, and anything of any value that might be in your house that people would see as some kind of a possible survival tool. Okay, the way you keep that is with a gun. Number 3. Now this is the biggie. You need everybody and their mother-in-law needs to get in touch with their local militia so that they have some kind of a chain of command to follow and instructions that teach them how to use a gun or teach them how not to use a gun, or depending on what the case may be. This don't sound nice, but when we found out for real that China was threatening the United States, battle groups were deployed on both coasts. Big ones. Then you've got your troops, your on-ground inland troops. They will be occupying specific areas so that they can make sure of the security of the country. Number 3, the militias, and I tell you, everybody and their mother-in-law that belongs to one or is affiliated with one or whatever. Even if you don't, you can find one. Get hooked up with a militia. Why? Well, you get 25 people that know what they're doing, and 3 or 4 that don't. The 3 or 4 that don't know what they're doing can be instructed on the job training, as it might be called, in order to survive. All right. Number 4, and this is also a biggie. The 4th one is to forget any and all of the fun and games that the mainstream media has told you you're supposed to think. Ooh, Muslims are evil. They cover their heads, or whatever it may be. The people that are for real will tell you. They'll tell you right off the bat. Well, what do you want? You want to be on your own? Go ahead, get. You want to be with us? You follow directions, okay? And the directions are generally normal kind of things. They're not the nasty ideology of a bunch of people drinking too much beer in the woods and shooting holes and everything. This is more a tightly run, smooth operation. We also have the Grand Army of the Republic, which is nationwide. We have communication sources that the FBI is still trying to figure out. And we have the capability of deploying people immediately. Boom. And I'm talking about however long it takes to get from point A to point B. And that's nationally. You have the big problem. What does President Trump have to do? Well, first of all, everybody knows about the funky election. And I mean, even the bad guys know about the funky election. We have a problem there. And that problem is that there are a considerable number of bad guys who will fight. They won't last very long against us, but they will fight. When the majority of the bad guys realize that we're coming after them, we're actually hunting them, then they have a choice. They can give up freely, and they won't get any worse treatment out of that than if we captured them. The detention center, most people don't know about it. It's in the desert Southwest. There's a detention center that can hold about 1 million people out there. And it's set. I don't recommend the food. Let's put it this way. I don't know how many people have eaten an MRE, but it tastes kind of funky. You think that's bad? Try old sea rations that are in a can, and the can is bloated because it's fermented. Okay, and all that. This food is worse than either one of those put together.
Wow.
So they're gonna have a rough time of it at first. The second part is that there will be a military tribunal set up in close proximity, more than one, in close proximity to the holding center. The holding center will be gone through according to the date of arrest. And if somebody is incarcerated, there's a reason for it. And they will get to the bottom of the reason for that. If somebody doesn't want to cooperate, they will cooperate. They get their brains beat loose. Well, their feet set on fire, whatever we can think of that'll cause them to talk. Now, there are trained agents that aren't going to say anything. And upon recognition that they are a trained agent, they'll probably be executed.